85% of the universe is comprised of dark matter. Dark matter is a theoretical form of matter that doesn't emit, absorb, or reflect electromagnetic radiation, making it unlike normal matter and impossible to see. Yet, many galaxies wouldn't behave the way they do unless there was a large amount of matter that doesn't appear to be there. Hence, the name dark matter. But the dark matter I'm going to be exploring in this video relates to the brooding, melancholy, gothic music styles that emerged in the late 70s and early 80s, which now generally falls under the term darkwave. Darkwave, and its related terms in genres like Coldwave and goth rock, emerged from the post-punk and electronic instrument-infused new wave movements of the 1970s, coming from acts such as Joy Division and Sushi and the Banshees, and I'm even going to include Bauhaus here. And then bands like Depeche Mode started incorporating even more synthesizers and electronic sounds. So, what do all these bands have in common? What defines this darkwave genre and its closest siblings? There's usually some degree of synthesizers or electronic sounds. More importantly, there's a somber, more melancholy mood to the music, often incorporating minor keys, lower pitch, especially for vocals, and murky ethereal effects such as reverb. First, let's look at some traditional rock instrument sounds that form the predecessors of darkwave in post-punk, goth rock, and coldwave. One effect that started to become popular during this time period of the late 70s and early 80s is called gated reverb, which is a style of reverb that has a noise gate applied to cut off the tails, causing a short, punchy reverb that ends abruptly. You can get an effect like this in the Catalan-bred FX40 soft focus pedal by maxing the modulation and the mix, but turning everything else way down. Let's hear some drums with gated reverb applied for punchy effect. Coldwave music tended to have repetitive, driving rhythms such as rapid hi-hat 16ths punctuated by snare hits to provide some high notes to contrast with the low-pitched vocals and bass. Let's use a loop like this from the 1987 pack by Circles. To get both great bass lines and nice melodic guitar tones, I'm going to use my Danelectro baritone guitar, which I've actually named Dark Matter. Rather than prominent kick or tom drums, a rhythmic minimalist bass line often accompanies the sparse, punchy hi-hats and snares. This can be played with simple compression, or even spring reverb. Sound, you can apply some effects such as lo-fi reverb. Finally, the guitars tend to rise above the low bass lines and murky vocals by having chimey sounds, either via clean, jangly strums, or perhaps a little chorus applied. Let's use the classic Dimension C chorus to give it some texture and space in stereo. For even more atmosphere, you can use multiple effects such as those found in the Yamaha FX500B. Here I'm applying chorus and room-style reverb while I play the bass line from Fascination Street by The Cure. Now let's concoct some darkwave sounds. I'll be doing some vocals for tracks created by electronic musician Data Crush. I'm going to sing in a lower register and apply some reverb. Generally I'll aim for a slow tempo, but some of these tracks have a more upbeat new wave or synthwave sound, so my singing will sometimes be faster accordingly. For the first track, I'll use my TC Helicon Play acoustic for some pitch correction and slight reverb, and I'll also be using the vocoder functionality of my Microkorg XL.
Smile. Smile. With a Cheshire grin you stumble in. Take a chance on me, I'll let you in. So smile. Smile. Grab the microphone, I'll take you home. Cause otherwise we're both alone. So smile. Smile.
lo-fi sound by feeding my vocals through my pedal board. To do this, I'll connect my TC MP85 microphone into a Shure line matching transformer and put it through Wampler Ego compression and then into the Caroline Meteore lo-fi reverb.
Let it go, let it all float away. Don't you know your load is too heavy to bear today? Let it go, let it all float away. Don't you know your load is too heavy to bear to carry on this way? Because the cross is large and it's made of stone, and your head was never made of this crown of thorns. So shrug it off your shoulders and carry on, and I will carry all of your burdens.
Now we're going to create some dark matters by recording a gothy Coldwave rendition of a mashup of Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon combined with Nothing Else Matters by Metallica. I wanted a very specific tempo and style for the drums, and I was unable to find that in Easy Drummer or Moto drums, and the circles loops weren't quite right either. So I went searching for some Joy Division or New Order style drum loops, and it didn't take long before I found a good 135 BPM post-punk one, which I ended up buying from Drumskin for €1. Next, I wanted a driving bass line to accompany the minimalist drums, so I played that with just some compression to make it punchy and clear. Usually I do the vocals last, but in this case I added them next, and to give it a retro, murky, and ethereal vibe, I ran my vocals through the Wampler Ego compressor and Caroline Meteore lo-fi reverb pedal.
Never cared for what they do. Never cared for what they know.
Finally, I decided to add some chimey accents and melodies using guitar, and since this incorporates a Metallica song, I just had to use my new Schecter Reaper 6, which I fed into Dimension C chorus.
A lunatic is on the grass.
post-punk Coldwave sounds, check out the links in my video description. And don't forget to like and subscribe, especially if you want future content, such as my next video in which I plan to go over my Dream Factory board, designed specifically for dream pop and shoegaze.